next Wednesday.
I had a friend dig into Gary's past. There are things you don't know about.
Get ready for a night of game-changing discoveries.
I'm having twins. Get as far away from Gary as you can.
Tyler Perry's Sistas, all new next Wednesday at 9. Watch it live on BET.
Okay, Sistas fans, I am recording this at 3 in the morning on February 22nd. At this point in time, I only have a 15-second promo plus the end credit promo. Now, if the 30-second promo comes out soon, hopefully, but if it doesn't, oh well. Basically, you know the drill. If they drop a 30-second promo and that promo has key details that the other trailers didn't present, I'll follow up in a second video. But for now, you're just going to see the promo you saw at the beginning of this video plus the end credit promo at the end of last night's episode. Season 7, Episode 9, Three's a Crowd. And man, oh man, this is something else. Karen shares unexpected news that makes Zach happy, but causes a totally different reaction from Zatima. Meanwhile, one of Gary's plans to sabotage Andy backfires. Now, I think we know what this is related to, so I'll talk about that part of the trailer first, because all you all want to talk about are these babies. So, before moving forward into the breakdown, please take a moment. Hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe. We're getting closer to 280,000 subscribers. And if you have any thoughts on the trailer, predictions, and what have you, make sure you leave it in the comment section below, because the more engagement my videos have, the more YouTube pushes them out into the algorithm for other fans to view. And oh yeah, follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. So, meanwhile, one of Gary's plans to sabotage Andy backfires. This is clearly in relation to Miss Willis popping up, or excuse me, Mrs. or soon to be Miss Willis popping up to Gary's office unexpected and goes, "Oh, so you sit when there's a lady around?" And then Gary pops up from his desk, because remember, he's just busy working on probably another scheme of his, but he invites Mrs. Willis to have a seat and basically says, "Oh, well, I just wanted to warn you." Warn me about what? Someone you're, just so you know who you're truly getting ready to deal with. So it's clear to me that he plans to bad talk. Well, let me put it this way. He plans to spin the web of treachery, bad talk Andy to Mrs. Willis, and make it appear that Hayden is the superior lawyer that she should align herself with. Unbeknownst to Gary, though, Jordan also knows Mrs. Willis, and Marie has spoken highly of him. So something tells me, given that she told Andy how she can read a person based on their eyes and whatnot, that they're a liar and everything to that effect, I think is one of those things where Mrs. Willis will just, clap back. Because remember, his plan to sabotage Andy backfires. I think if nothing else, Mrs. Willis is going to be even more determined to have Andy be her representative, because if I'm not mistaken, she didn't confirm that Andy would be the lawyer representing her, but, based on Jordan's recommendation, Andy was the first person she would consider. And something that didn't make sense to me in the episode was, how Gary was talking about how, oh yeah, Mrs. Willis was one of the first, investors when I got started with my company, and we've kept, up communication ever since then. And I'm thinking, with Gary and the whole FBI investigation, why in the world would Mrs. Willis trust anything he has to say? That's my biggest question, because this isn't something that should be swept under the rug, or honestly, in universe, can't be swept under the rug. This was a very big deal. So, we also get a scene of a phone. I guess it was Gary's phone going off, and he goes, "Where are you, B?" Who is he referencing? Is it Penelope? Possibly. I mean, we do see a brown purse on his desk, so I wonder is that Mrs. Willis's purse or what? I don't know. But from there, we go over to Andy talking with Penelope, basically giving her the rundown of her friend Brenton. It's like, hey, I had an old friend dig into Gary's past, and there's a lot of stuff in here that, well, you didn't even know about. So I think the best course of action is for you to get away, and I mean get as far away from Gary as you can. And Penelope's like, I'm scared. Don't worry, I got a plan. Now, remember, I've been talking about this for quite a while. Penelope is supposed to go missing this season. And at first I thought it was because of Gary, but no, it seems like Andy's the one that has her going, kind of like in a witness protection thing. I don't know her exact details, but the fact that she says I have a plan means she's going to set things up. And we know that Jordan's going to have some sort of detective looking for a sister. So this scheme that these two are running behind the scenes is something that Jordan has no clue about. Now, going over to Maurice's place, you have Grayson back, and he's talking with Maurice. Is like, so your fixation page, are you going to continue doing it? And Maurice says, well, I mean, it keeps the lights on. I was talking with an old friend of mine the other day. We were talking about how, both of us are single. He's way more extroverted than me. He's out in the dating world. So, he, goes out on dates with girls here and there, whatever. And me, I'm just homework focused, trying to get my house and everything. So I ain't really thinking about dating yet. But I thought to myself, like, man, remember back in college? Could you imagine 10 years ago when we were in college that when we sat down with a girl for like the first time and we were just talking, and now, back then it's like, so where do you see yourself in, like, after you graduate? Do you plan on going back to your hometown, staying in Lynchburg where, college is, or what are your career goals? How many kids you want? Whoever would have thought that in today's time, you have to ask, so do you have an OnlyFans page? Because that is a legitimate question. But even more important is, okay, so you have an OnlyFans. Okay, you do that to make some, pay rent or, pay for your this or that, whatever. But if we were to get together in a relationship, would you still keep that page? I mean, the thing is, though, this is Maurice's job. Now, we do know at some point in the season, he goes back to work at the bank. Now, I think this could be obviously because, one, Sabrina gets the manager job over Paige, so she'll have the ability to get him, Maurice, his job back. But then that raises a lot of questions about corporate, because corporate, they were the ones that decided to cut Maurice loose once and for all. So why in the world would Sabrina be allowed to hire him back on, and then the higher ups not knowing about it, or even better, them allowing it? I'm pretty sure Paige would have something to say. It's like, wasn't he the one conspiring with that Q fellow that, tried to rob the bank in the first place? Like, what's going on? So I don't know. And I think that the only reason Maurice would try to get a job back at the bank is due to the fact that if Grayson kind of gives him an ultimatum of, I don't know if I can date someone who is only into this. Like, which is kind of a weird thing. Like, I know I'm judging Grayson because I don't know how this conversation is going to play out, but if I remember correctly, didn't he meet Maurice through his fixation page? So now it's like, well, if you want to be with me exclusively, then I don't know if I can be with someone who does that kind of work for a living. That seems really judgmental and hypocritical. But like I said, I want to save my full thoughts on that until the next episode airs, because this seems like a interesting conversation. And like, I feel like it's something everybody can relate to. It's not because Maurice and Grayson are gay. That's not it. This could happen to any couple. Male, female, male, female, whoever. It doesn't matter. This is a legitimate thing. So I think this is an interesting conversation that the writers have kind of woven into the show. So will Maurice potentially give up his bread and butter for Grayson? We'll have to wait and see. But aside from that, we do have a scene where all the girls seem to be over at Karen's place. And it seems that she's probably going to give them the news about her having twins. And speaking of, we see Karen coming out from her room back into like the waiting area talking with Zach. I'm having twins. And Zach's like, wait, what? And then Fatima just kind of burst in out of nowhere. Oh yeah, this is because she was over at Andy's penthouse, so she came back to the hospital. So from there, Zach is all excited, and Karen is like holding a picture, I guess, of the ultrasound. So then she shows it to Fatima, saying that she's having twins, and Fatima's shocked. Zach is like, he's just cheesing. And then that kind of changes over to Zach and Fatima's, I'm guessing, that night. And Fatima, I didn't feel like you were listening to me. Karen just sprung this crazy news on us today, and it's like you didn't even consider my feelings. Now, let me just say up front, I am very happy that Fatima is telling Zach about this seemingly that same day. Now, I don't know what happens between the hospital where the news is dropped to that night when they're at home. But I'm just glad that what the promo doesn't show us is what we would have seen if Tyler was still writing the show, where Fatima would talk to everybody in Atlanta about the way she felt in a cordial way before addressing things with Zach. There you go. I mean, there is a lot more I can say, but I just feel like I want to save that for another time. Also, based on the background, when Karen says I'm having twins, I think she's at the salon talking to Pam, because I think we see like a green fan on the counter and whatnot. So I think this is definitely the salon. But going back to Fatima and Zach, I feel like it's an interesting thing because Zach be doing too much. The writers have an interesting way of Zach. You know, on the one hand, it's like, man, I really like, can they cut him a break? Like, Zach is only trying to do the right thing here. But then in the very next scene or very next episode, the writers will have Zach doing way too much. And I'm like, bro, I can't defend you. So, I mean, a lot of people talk about the disrespect and whatnot right in Fatima's face. But on the other hand, it's like, Fatima, ain't nobody tell you to come down there. I mean, ain't nobody tell you to come down to the hospital. You knew what it was. You knew it was a dice roll. And not to mention, I don't know if we will actually get the DNA test results. Now, Dr. Moore said both sacks had to be tested. So I don't know if they are tested. And not to mention, some people say DNA tests can't be done immediately. Other people say it takes a couple of days. Folks, I don't know. Okay, I'll do a little research and come back to you with it. But yeah, I am glad Fatima is addressing this with Zach. And I'm not saying Zach shouldn't be. I mean, if Zach is excited, he's excited. What can you do? I don't know what else to say. I'm not trying to defend his behavior, but I mean, hey, it's a kid for him. And I don't know. Fatima is... Nobody's making you stay. And this is not a Fatima fans. This is not a slight at Fatima, because each and every week I see more and more people saying Fatima needs to go. Fatima needs to go. And that's not like her leaving the show, but leave Zach and all this craziness. And I don't blame her. If she wants to leave, because, and I'm not saying like Zach should contain his excitement for Fatima, but it's the fact that Fatima, you need to choose if this is the life you want between Zach and Heather's son, Zach and Karen's maybe one or two children, depending on what the test results may be. I feel like even though she really loves Zach, I don't know. I think they should break up. I mean, like I said, let's wait for the damn test results to come back. But even so, it's like, nobody's making you stay. This is the life you choose. It's kind of like these females who make, you know, millionaire, billionaire status, and yet they still decide to procreate with a jailbird or, you know, a thug rapper or whatever. And, you know, plenty of examples to choose from. It's like, nobody's making you stay. So I feel like Fatima's probably will. I feel like Zach and Fatima, if they did break up, I wouldn't be mad, because both of them made a positive change in the other one's lives. Like, Zach taught Fatima that there is life after heartbreak with Ian. And Fatima was able to help Zach, you know, realize his true potential, even though he isn't perfect, but he is growing. So I don't know. If they break up, they break up. I don't give a crap. But yeah, three's a crowd. I don't know. Aaron, if he's coming to the hospital and we see that picture where he, Zach, and Karen are in the hospital room together, I guess maybe the doctor doesn't test Karen on that particular day. I don't know if the doctor's like, well, look, there are 2 sacks. You know what? Save it for another video. I don't feel like getting into it right now. But regardless, those are my thoughts on the mini trailer for next week. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you in the next one.